Hi, everyone, and welcome back to TheWilderMuse. I'm Bea, and recently I've been thinking about books in my life that have made a huge difference. And one of the books that I read relatively recently was Atomic Habits by James Clear. And Atomic Habits, if you don't know, is a book about how really small habits over time gain the most or the best results. And I really loved it, not because he was talking about topics that are groundbreaking or anything like that, but the way that he framed these topics was just like a new way of thinking about it. And so I thought I would make a video about 5 atomic habits that I do in my life that have changed my life for the better. Because honestly, I'm in the wellness space a lot. I ingest a lot of wellness media, and everybody's kind of doing these like crazy changes, 75 hard, ice cold plunges, like all this stuff. And like, I love that stuff. That's cool too. But realistically, I think the regular person can only really change small habits at a time. So here are 5 daily habits that I do that make a big difference in my own life. So the first habit I want to talk about is journaling. There are a ton of advantages to journaling. It helps you express your emotions and like kind of empty that emotional well. It helps you clear your thoughts and it helps you clarify your thoughts. It helps you notice patterns of thinking, especially if you read back and you notice like how you think about a certain topic or how you want to change your thoughts about a certain topic or whatever. I think journaling is an incredible mental health tool. I've been journaling throughout my whole life, and I go through periods where I take it very seriously and through periods where I don't take it as seriously, but I'm trying to make it a daily habit. And ever since I implemented that, it's helped my life tremendously because one of the ways that it helps me is it helps me get out of thought spirals. So sometimes I like hyperfixate on a thought or like a series of thoughts, and then it goes over and over and over again. And I can't think about anything else. It's like I'm arguing myself almost, and I like keep going. And when I journal about it or when I write it down, I can get out of that thought spiral and I can be like, okay, I expressed it and now I can move on. It's honestly to the point where like I keep a journal right next to me when I work because, if I have like a distracting thought that like I can't get out of my head, I write it down and then I'm able to focus on work again. Like it's such a helpful tool for me to keep my mind clear. I also started journaling because I realized that I'm not great at remembering things, and journaling like forces me to like look back on my day and think about how I feel and think about what are the things I want to remember. And it like forces me to create the memory rather than just like slide past all these experiences that I have in my life. So there are tons of ways to journal, but I want to kind of focus on like intentional journaling. And I think of it as like you telling the story of your life in a very specific way so that you're able to change your perspective. I think this version of journaling is helpful when you're dealing with something that's overly negative or you feel kind of stuck. I think it's a way to kind of retell the story to yourself. So for example, you missed the train this morning and like there's a way to tell that story that is like, oh, I missed the train this morning. Everything sucks. Everything like is against me. La, 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 la. Whereas like you could tell that story and be like, I missed the train this morning and it forced me to take a slower morning. And who knows, there could have been something bad that would have happened on the train. Like just changing your perspective about an event that could be seen as negative and changing it into a positive or a slightly more balanced perspective has been really helpful. I think that's what I like to call like intentionally journaling. I'll intentionally journal in a way that helps me change my perspective. Another way that I do this is I say positive things about myself. So everybody has negative self-talk. I'm included in that category. And so sometimes when I journal, I don't just write affirmations. I'll write like I'll write the story in a way that is like kind and positive to myself. And this does two things. One, it helps you change your perspective on yourself, but it also helps you create trust within yourself in a weird way. Like it helps you be a safe space for yourself. If you're someone that talks very negatively about yourself, I highly suggest trying this out. It's nice because it's like a private practice. You don't have to do it with anyone. It doesn't feel very like, it doesn't feel like you're being cocky or that you're being overly confident or anything like that. It's just for you and you don't have to share it with anyone. But I would highly suggest like intentionally journaling every day really affects my mood. It really affects my self-esteem. It really helps me just think about things in a more balanced way. The second habit that I want to talk about is to practice gratitude. This kind of piggybacks off of the intentional journaling I was talking about. I like to write down 3 things that I'm grateful for in the day. And I have a rule where like the first 2 things can be anything. It can be, I'm really grateful that I had a call with my best friend. I'm really grateful that I had a really great lunch, like whatever. But the third thing has to be something very simple. Like it has to be like, I'm grateful that I have really soft sheets to sleep on tonight. Or like, I'm really grateful for the breeze that's making me cooler right now. I'm really grateful for the way the light looks when it comes through my window. Something like that, like something super simple. And I like to have that rule and I like to have that habit because it forces me to pay attention to the small things in my life, when really it's not small things. Like all of these things could be taken away at any moment. And so being cognizant of that and being conscious helps me feel more grateful. And being grateful is like generally like so positive. Like it's so hard to be grateful and angry. It's so hard to be grateful and sad. Like it's just a generally positive thing to be. And so I love practicing gratitude. I think it's really great to also help. I think it's also really good at helping change your perspective in a simple way. But I do think that sometimes, I'm not the first person to talk about gratitude. I think sometimes the practice of gratitude can be a little bit overplayed. And so another way that I like to practice gratitude is I've adopted the I get to mindset, which is basically instead of saying I have to do something, you change it to I get to do something. The simple version of that is I have to go to work. Like if you switch it to I get to go to work, there's just like a subtle shift in energy. And that's kind of like, oh, you're right, I get to do this thing. I have to go to the gym. Switch to I get to go to the gym. It's just like acknowledging something that could be seen as like a tiresome chore or whatever into something that is like, oh yeah, I'm actually pretty lucky that I get to do this particular thing. So yeah, those are simple ways that I tried to like incorporate gratitude into my daily life. The third habit I want to talk about is taking my time to get ready. I love a slow morning, and it's pretty rare that I get a slow morning. I feel like I live in New York, so I feel like every day is like fast-paced and very busy. But I've been trying to intentionally slow down what I like to call my mirror time, which is the time that I sit in front of my vanity and I like do my makeup and I do my hair and I put on my jewelry. Like I'll intentionally slow down because one, I want to practice like being present and like being present in the moment, especially in the morning. And 2, I kind of wanted to be like more intentional with the way that I look. I think that when you put effort into your looks, it kind of translates to the rest of your life and you start to feel better, like if you feel like you look good. And I think the key in that is you feel like you look good. It doesn't really, I personally don't think it matters what other people think. Like if you feel good and you feel confident, that's the most important part of this like habit. I've kind of turned this into a ritual where I I put on music and I like put on a specific kind of lighting, and I try and set the mood for myself to like enjoy the process of like getting up and getting ready to go to work. And it really just sets the mood for the rest of the day, honestly. Like it makes me feel more confident because I like the way that I look. And honestly, when you feel like you look good, you hold yourself like in a different way. You're more confident, or it's like, it's easier to be more confident. It's easier to be more secure with yourself because you intentionally did that for yourself. So it's like a little self-treat. The fourth habit that I want to talk about is to be intentional with the media I consume. So I was talking previously about how I like to set the vibe in the morning. One of the ways that I like to do that is I listen to music, and I specifically listen to lo-fi music. If you don't know, lo-fi music is literally like kind of like beats that's like positive and relaxed. Like there's never really any lyrics or anything like that. It's just like really great background music. And the reason that I like to do that is it helps me, I think the vibes of the music help me stay relaxed and helps me kind of like romanticize my life a little bit. It kind of feels a little bit like I'm in a movie. But I also do that because I like to listen. I prefer to consciously listen to music. And what I mean by that is like when I'm doing something else, when my mind is on something else, I want my mind to be on that. And I don't want to be playing random music or random media in the background, because I believe that media in general can affect the way that we think about our lives, our moods, like all of that. And it can happen subconsciously. And so when I'm doing something else, I'm not focused on what messages I'm ingesting through the media that I'm consuming. So what I like to do is like be conscious about it. Like I'm just like very intentional with how a certain media makes me feel. And I like sort of cater that to how I want my day to be. Now, I'm not saying like you should never listen to like negative things or things that make you feel sad or anything like that. Like I'm not saying that. I think everything has a time and place. I just think you should be conscious about it. So for example, I love listening to true crime podcasts. It's really dark and very like heavy a lot of the time. And so I kind of pay attention to the way that I feel. And then if I don't feel like I can handle that, or I don't feel, like the lightest or happiest person, then I won't put on a true crime podcast. I'll put on something a little more neutral, or I'll put on something a little more positive or whatever. I'm just very conscious of media because I think with social media and the fact that we're constantly connected to technology and like advertising, we're just unconsciously like ingesting all these messages all the time. And I think like stepping back and being like, what message and what feeling do I want to feel right now has been really helpful with the way that I feel on a daily basis. So yeah, when you put something on, like just ask yourself, like, how does it feel? What does this make me believe? What does this make me feel about myself? Like things like that, just being conscious about it and being aware. And you don't really have to change anything if you don't want to, but just like the state of awareness is important, and like being present. You're able to see how things affect you in your day, and then you can make the decision as to how you want to change that. Or if you don't want to change that, that's fine. I think the habit of staying conscious about media is really helpful, especially now. The last habit I want to talk about is to say goodnight, love you. I made this a habit ever since I was like a little kid. I always say goodnight, love you to my family. And it's a habit that I like can't sleep if I don't do it, honestly. And I love it because it helps me to keep connected. So I live very far from my family, and like even if I don't talk to them all day, like having that be the message of the day is really nice. It's really positive. It keeps me connected to them, and it keeps my relationship with them open and like positive. It also like gives me peace to know that I made the effort to show love to like some of the most important people in my life. I don't know. I can like relax at the end of the day and just be like, okay, if this is a little dark, but this is the reality. If this is my last night on earth, or if I don't wake up in the morning, like the last thing that I say is like a message of love, I think is something that I really consciously adopted into my life when I was young. And I love that I've kept it going over the years. And obviously, if you adopt it into your life and you're not very close to your family, like it doesn't have to be your family. It could be just the people in your life that you love the most. I think life is so unpredictable, and I think it's so important to show the people that you care about that you love them and that you care about them. And this is like such a simple way to do that. Like it's such a simple reminder. And I personally love it. It helps me end the day on a positive note. And I don't know, I think we need more love in the world just generally. So those are the daily habits that have changed my life significantly. I want to go back to the original thought of this, which is you don't have to overhaul or completely reinvent your life in order to have change in your life. You can make atomic habits that over time build to incredible change. Obviously, if you want to change your whole life, do it. But I think most of us, realistically, the changes that we can achieve are teeny tiny daily changes that change the trajectory of where we're going. And I think that's really beautiful. I'm so curious if you have daily habits that change your life and that are important to you. I would love to hear them in the comments. I'd love to give more ideas. Also, let me know if you implement any of the habits that I've mentioned into your life and how they've affected you. I would love to hear that too. But anyway, thank you, and I'll see you next time. Bye.